Hey guys, welcome. I'm going to try to do something slightly different here. Wanted to do a video about a theory about Star Wars that I had come up with. Um, and I looked around, I didn't really see anyone else mention this. So I wanted to throw it out there and see what you guys thought. Um, so I'll go ahead and say now, I'll be talking about some minor spoilers from The Force Awakens, so if you haven't seen it, you probably should turn this off. I don't really plan on talking about any of the major events of the movie, so if you don't mind knowing a few minor things, it's probably okay to watch. But this is your chance to turn it off. So, my theory involves Luke Skywalker. There was a popular theory that kind of popped up again right before the movie came out. It got a lot of attention that Luke Skywalker may have turned to the dark side at the end of Return of the Jedi. It was a popular theory. I thought it sounded pretty exciting. It would make a very interesting storyline going off of that. But it basically disappeared after the movie came out, and it just kind of disappeared again. And I don't think that, based on the movie, that we have really ruled it out yet. At the end of Return of the Jedi, he goes berserk on Vader, and that's what they were trying to provoke him to do, to turn to the dark side, and he did it. So that kind of lays the groundwork for that to be true. And my theory is actually a little bit more extreme than that. I think that it's theoretically possible that Luke Skywalker is Supreme Commander Snoke. Obviously that's a stretch, but I'll kind of explain here. This is probably the biggest spoiler. In the movie, Snoke, the picture you see here, is a projection. It is not the actual Snoke standing in the room with them. He's portrayed as a giant, but he's a projection. Kind of Wizard of Oz-like. We don't really know anything about Snoke. They don't do any background information on Snoke. And I know there's been books written in these, and he is a different. There's no other precedent for him being Luke Skywalker, or I think they actually describe him as someone completely different. But we're talking about a movie that the directors and everyone have made it clear they do not follow what has been written before. They're using some of the characters and some of the storylines, but they're not being tied to what's been written down already. So, going into the movie, you can't just assume. You can't assume anything. So, my theory kind of revolves around more a lack of information than any real evidence supporting it, because all I'm really saying is there's nothing that says that Luke Skywalker cannot be Supreme Commander Snoke. Going into this a little further, basically we know that Kylo Ren is being trained by Luke Skywalker, and along with many other Padawans training to be Jedis. And Kylo betrays Luke and kills all of the other ones, and then Luke goes into hiding. This seems a bit suspicious to me, that he would immediately just disappear, and from there the First Order rises. Obviously that kind of goes along with Kylo Ren, but I mean, it goes along with Luke disappearing as well. And the fact that Luke is training Kylo puts him in the position to be turning Kylo to the dark side and training him in the dark side. Like he's in that position of power over Kylo that he would be able to be that role that Snoke is playing over Kylo now. I know Kylo is searching for evidence of where Luke is located, but that kind of follows anyway, because he wouldn't want the rebellion to find Luke. It doesn't necessarily mean he's searching for it to kill Luke. If it could all be a big, smoke screen that they're searching out any evidence so that Luke isn't found. That doesn't necessarily write off Luke being Snoke. Kylo knows Snoke's location, and no one else in the movie is ever implied to have that knowledge. The other commander that's in the room every time they speak is dismissed when they talk about having Kylo return to finish his training with Snoke, which, I mean, that he's in a position to be more powerful than Kylo and training Kylo. So it's still seen, there's nothing there that really prevents Luke from being the character still. And I mean, if Luke turned to the dark side, even Kylo's worshipping of Darth Vader kind of makes sense. Like, why wouldn't that follow as well if Luke is turned? I mean, all of that. If Luke actually turned to the dark side, all of that still makes sense. The rest of it would follow all of that. So, I mean, none of that is really evidence that Luke is Snoke, and obviously I realize that, but none of it is evidence that he is not either. And probably I thought of two different things that really could be used as evidence against this theory. First being, you can hide what you look like, you can hide your voice, but it would be very difficult to actually hide your voice pattern and how you speak. And I don't think if you watch Snoke and then watch Luke in the old movies that there's any voice pattern there that would match up. However, when you're talking about a movie universe, I don't think that's evidence enough. I think that would be very weak evidence to say that, because I think they would intentionally not do that in a movie to avoid that spoiler for a big reveal to happen. I think they would hide that. And I mean, they used a different voice actor, obviously, because you can't use Luke, or you can't use Mark Hamill, because that would obviously give it away. But probably the biggest piece of evidence against this theory even possibly being true is the opening crawl of Star Wars, and really the first paragraph. They talk about the First Order has risen and will not rest until Skywalker, the last Jedi, has been destroyed. Obviously, that would seem to be very obvious evidence against. But the only thing that I like, there's just one thing about that doesn't necessarily follow. this opening crawl, you don't know if this is the actual 100% truth, or if this opening crawl is the truth as far as everyone in the Star Wars universe believes. And there's a big difference there, because obviously everyone in the Star Wars universe believes this, that they are looking for the Jedi Luke Skywalker to save them, and that they are trying to prevent the First Order from finding him. But that saying that doesn't necessarily make that the actual motivations behind all the actions that have been happening. So that's my theory. If there are any very obvious reasons why this theory is absolutely wrong, please let me know in the comments. If I'm absolutely wrong, I'll probably take the video down, because if there's just something that I missed that's very obvious that proves this is entirely off base, then there's no reason to have this going anymore. But let me know what you guys think. I think it would be an exciting storyline if they went this direction. I would be personally very happy to see how they tie that all in. And until we know more of Snoke's background, how he became who he is, which they didn't get into in the movie, then we really don't know, and I'm excited to find out. But hope you guys enjoyed. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.